Hello, CRE101 students. This is Mary Ellen, and today this screencast focuses on the first chapter from Becoming a Critical Thinker, which is the foundation of arguments. So by the time you're done reading chapter 1, you should be able to understand and apply the structure of an argument, the three parts of argument, and understand that this is an approach to making informed decisions as a consumer, as a voter, as a citizen, as a human being, as a student, as an employee. It's just a really sound approach to decision making. So in this context, in this textbook, in this course, in this chapter, we define critical thinker as someone who uses specific criteria to evaluate, to reason, to form positions, and to make decisions. And it's not necessarily the kind of decisions we're making when we're deciding between eggs or cereal for breakfast. It's the kind of critical thinking we use when we're dealing with larger choices that we constantly confront in our lives. And a good critical thinker uses fair-mindedness regularly, and they also have a sense of empathy. They can, even if they disagree with somebody, they can attempt to understand the other person's position or side. And that's at the core of empathy. So using these traits means that you're making informed choices and you're making informed decisions. And they help a critical thinker in solving problems and in advocating for their own position. So in this context, we're using the term critical to mean discerning. You're able to use strategies to help you make informed, thoughtful decisions. So moving on in the chapter, you'll encounter mostly for the entire chapter the three parts of an argument, or the structure of the argument. And argument here is defined as a conclusion about an issue that is supported by reasons. And you'll see in that definition that the three parts are part of the definition. So an argument has an issue, a conclusion, and a reason. The issue being, what's being addressed? What's the problem here? What is the situation that we have to tackle and work through? The conclusion is the position that's being taken on that issue. If it's a situation or if it's a problem, there's always at least two sides, if not more, to the situation or the problem. And then the reasons are the statements being offered to support the issue and conclusion. Okay, you've taken a side to a problem, but do you have evidence? Do you have reasons? Do you have statistics, data, research, testimony to support the position you're taking on the issue? So those are the three parts that we're going to walk through for the rest of this screencast. So the issue is what we're arguing about, and it's the big question being addressed. Examples are posed here. Should the minimum wage be raised? This is an ongoing conversation in the United States with citizens, in communities, with states, even at the federal level. Are humans responsible for global warming? Some say the amount of population on the planet and the amount of carbon emissions that humans create are responsible for the ongoing climate change. Other people on the other side of the argument say no, climate change is a natural part of the planet's evolution, and whether we choose to reduce our carbon emissions or not, climate change and global warming will still occur. Another issue could be whether violent video games contribute to real violence. Some people argue that if a child plays too many violent video games, they become violent in their normal life at school or with their siblings, etc. Others say no, there's no real connection there. There's lots of people who play first-person shooter video games all the time and do not act violently in their own life. So where is the issue and where do you relate to it? So what I really want you to notice about this is that they're not topics. A question or a controversy, at least two sides to a topic, must be present for it to be an issue. And if you look at pages 6 and 7 in your textbook, you'll have more definitions and examples for issues, including different subcategories of issues, like factual or descriptive issues, values or prescriptive issues, or even policy issues. So these are other ways that you would hear issues being addressed, either on television, in debates, reading them in newspaper articles or in magazine articles, or even later in this textbook. So the big thing about issues and why arguments sometimes get sidetracked is because we're human beings, and human beings are emotional. We laugh, we cry, we feel, and that can get in the way of issues. So the difference between critical thinking about arguments and issues and I guess any other type of thinking we would do with arguments and issues is that critical thinkers are able to stay focused on the issue regardless of their emotional stake in the issue. And the reason why is because issues can become fragmented and sidetracked by emotion. Sometimes when we're too personally attached or emotionally attached to an issue, it's difficult to think rationally and reasonably about the issue. So a good argument, somebody who poses a good argument, stays focused and provides sound evidence and reasoning to come to a conclusion, regardless of their emotional stake in the issue. So our second part is the conclusion. It's the position taken about the issue. It's the claim plus the evidence. So synonyms that you may have heard for conclusion can be claims, viewpoints, positions, opinions, or stands. And the term conclusion varies in use, and it depends on the field of study. So for CRE101 purposes, conclusion means positions people take about issues. And it's a definition used closely and exclusively in the field of argumentation. But you have probably written conclusions, you have provided issues and claims and evidence over and over in writing. And in this sort of connection, that would be your thesis. For any paper, when you pose a thesis, you're posing a conclusion, something that you're going to argue and provide evidence for in writing. So the 5-step process that's outlined in the chapter is a pretty sound way to locate the conclusion. You can ask yourself what the position the writer or speaker is taking on the issue. You can locate the conclusion typically at the beginning or the end of a paragraph right after the topic has been introduced. You can look for indicator words such as therefore, so, thus, hence, or indicator phrasers like my point is, what I am saying is, what I believe, it is evident that, certainly, of course. And you want to ask what is being claimed, what claims are being made by the writer or the speaker. And finally, sometimes the conclusion is the title of the reading. It's given a topic and there's an opinion or a conclusion right in the title of the essay or the paper or the chapter, and you can find it that way. So the third part of an argument structure is the reason. And the reason are the statements that provide support for the conclusions. Synonyms for the word reason are evidence, premises, support, justification. And you can use a similar process that's pretty sound outlined in the chapter to locate reasons in an argument. You can use the because trick. You can ask this statement, and the reason is the phrase that you put in the second blank of the statement. You can look again for indicator words such as since, for, first, second, third, as evidenced by, also, furthermore, in addition to. So there's lots of indicator words that tell us reasons are being presented. And you want to focus on the evidence. What is present to support the conclusion? Are there examples? Are there statistics, analogies? Is a research study offered? Is there expert testimony? All of these qualify as reasons and are good indicators that an argument is being presented in this three-part structure and that it's a sound argument. So a good critical thinker leaves their emotion aside and focuses their attention on the issue, the conclusions drawn, and the reasons given to support the conclusions, regardless of how you feel about it. So in summary, critical thinking about information is an essential component to decision making. And when you look at an argument structure as an issue plus a conclusion and a reason, you're able to take a step away from your emotion and ask, what is the issue that is being raised? What conclusion or position is the writer and speaker taking on the issue? And what reasons are they presenting to me to get me to believe that their argument is sound? Are the reasons qualified? Are the reasons relevant? Is it sound evidence? Are there holes in the way they think? So in short summary, you need to remember to be objective. You may agree with one or another side of an argument, but understanding and considering all sides of the argument before making a decision is what practicing critical thinking is all about in argument structure.